Okay, so um, a lot of people have been, you know, um, been, reporting on the COVID-19 vaccine. They have reported on what's going on, really in government politics. They reported everything from the rigged elections to what's going on with COVID-19, and they've, you know, they've really, you know, put a dent in the plans of the elite, the ones who really want to be going through with um, their deep state plans. Okay, because they're sanctioning the hell out of a lot of people. All right, and this is what it's boiled down to right now. Okay, U.S. United Nations governments to deploy cyber warfare against anyone questioning the propaganda about COVID-19 vaccines. Yep. Gonna take away our free speech. The reasons why our founders, sorry, our founders enshrined freedom of the press in our Constitution is because they knew that tyrannical governments control their populations in part by controlling the information relayed to them. Controlling information is also a way to ensure compliance after all. If a population only gets one side of a political argument, or if they are prevented from knowing the truth about a certain issue, they are far from more likely to go along with the government mandates. Other nations whose people also yearn to be free and think for themselves copied our free press guarantee. But something happened over the centuries. In recent decades, our media has been politicized. Most mainstream outlets no longer see their role as informing the public so we can make up our own minds about issues. Rather, they now see their primary objective as working on behalf of tyrannical leaders within the deep state and political establishment. Our media and the media in many Western aligned countries now see their role as primarily pushing the state narrative. They are propagandists, not informers. So basically, they are nothing more than, you know, um, slaves, and that's basically it. Nothing more than slaves. And they do no longer care about the truth. They know about just pointing a narrative to manipulate the public. With the rise of big tech, the flow of information to the people is now so tightly controlled. A recent study found that failing to report scandal and corruption linked to one presidential contender, Joe Biden, very likely led to his winning the election. Now, something much more sinister is on the horizon. The media and big tech are preparing to shut down the flow of any scientific information, constitutional arguments, or questions about the legality of requiring mass COVID-19 immunization. In other words, prepare to be lied to early and often about the coming coronavirus vaccine, according to Whitney Webb at Unlimited Hangout. She writes, British and American state intelligence agencies are weaponizing truth to squash vaccine hesitancy as both nations prepare for mass inoculations in a recently announced cyber war to be commanded by AI-powered arbiters of truth against information sources that challenge official narratives. A new cyber offensive was launched on Monday by the United Nations Signal Intelligence Agency Government Communication Headquarters, GCHQ, which seeks to target websites that publish content deemed to be propaganda. That raises concerns regarding state-sponsored COVID-19 vaccine development and the multinational pharmaceutical corporations involved, Webb reports. Similar efforts are underway in the United States, with the U.S. military recently funding a CIA-backed firm stuffed with former counterterrorism officials who are behind the occupation of Iraq and the rise of so-called Islamic State. This is what you got to understand with the CIA. Um, these are the people who trained Osama bin Laden. Okay, they fund wars. Okay, and they find ways to use these tyrannical monsters for their bidding until, these monsters turn on the CIA, and then they, send their military after them and make lies to the people about how, we're finding this big bad boogeyman, and that's how they work. That's just how it is. To develop an AI algorithm aimed specifically at new websites promoting suspected disinformation related to the COVID-19 crisis and the U.S. military-led COVID-19 vaccination effort known as Operation Warp Speed. She continued, actually, Warp Speed is the program established by the Trump administration in which government cleared the way for private industry to more rapidly develop a vaccine for the novel coronavirus rather than government actually developing it. Specifically, Trump ordered government health agencies to maintain safety standards while shunting other regulatory hurdles that otherwise prevent rapid development to market processes. We're getting a vaccine faster than we normally would, in other words, and that may or may not be a good thing. But according to Webb, the political establishment in both the US and United Nations have apparently decided that even if a vaccine is not 100% safe, we're all going to be forced to take it one way or another, whether we want to or not. Both countries are preparing to silence independent journalists who raise legitimate concerns over pharmaceutical industry corruption or the extreme secrecy surrounding state-sponsored COVID-19 vaccination efforts now that Pfizer's vaccine candidate is slated to be approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, by month's end, Webb adds. And that's was never part of Operation Warp Speed. Worse, the biggest defender of our Constitution in modern times, Donald Trump, appears to have had the election stolen from him, meaning our last defense against the unconstitutional vaccine mandate is about to be replaced. Worse, we won't even be allowed to raise questions through our media because dissent will be squashed. Americans can't tell Brits what to do, but we can certainly change our destiny as we have done before. It may be time for a second American Revolution, but this time to be free of monarchs in our own deep state. I don't know. I can't say that Donald Trump is our last hope because, he also wants to push that vaccine just to make him look good. And Johnson & Johnson have had, he has talked, in the debate with Joe Biden, he said that, everything's fine with Johnson & Johnson. No, everything is not fine with Johnson & Johnson when making that vaccine. If you want to know more, look that up. People, we're in some really hard times coming ahead of us. Like I said, facts to blacks, that is true. We will be, you will be forced to take that vaccine. If you're on public assistance, a minority, you will be forced to take that vaccine or you will lose your benefits if you're on public assistance. Okay? I have another video that I will do in a few minutes that will also talk about what's going on in other countries pertaining to this vaccine and the things sinister with it. Okay, we are in some hard times. Okay, we have food shortages. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be a time that people are going to come to God, have a huge come to Jesus moment. You don't think so? I think so, because things are not going to get better. We will not be returning to the way things used to be. We will not be going back to normal. This is going to be from the mass to something else, to something sinister, until they have their new world order. So this is going to be a huge coming to Jesus moment. All right. So that's what I got to say about this. If you like the content, you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Later.